Today's guest is William Freeman, a man who spent years trying to live down the narratives the world placed on him before realizing he could write his own. His story is about identity, about what happens when the system tries to define you by your worst moment, and what it takes to rise beyond it. William went from incarceration to impact. He didn't just get out, he got focused. He found purpose in mentorship and community work and helping others rebuild while he continued rebuilding himself. In this episode, we talk about manhood, mindset, and the moment he realized he didn't have to be who the world expected him to be. This is William Freeman. The world gave him a label, but William Freeman gave himself a mission. This man didn't just get out, he showed up. Today, he's leading, mentoring, and reminding people that your identity is yours to define. William, you've got presence, man. You walk in purpose, but for folks just tuning in, give us the short version. Who are you today?
If I'm thinking about the way stigmas were placed on me and the way they behaved like a hat that I didn't want to wear. So I'm gonna start there, right? I'll describe it the same way as I had at the beginning of this podcast. So first off, I'm a man, I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a trusted community member, and I'm imperfect. I'm not perfect. So, I gotta say that. So those are the hats that I wear. And out of those hats come sub hats like leader, mentor, example. Also, man, just being candid, I might be the one person you shouldn't follow depending on what the topic is based on how life might have been retarded because of my journey, where I've been. So I'm not the guy to talk to if your issue is relationships necessarily, right, with women. Because I'm still figuring that one out. But if you want to learn how to turn your life into a business, if you want to be realistic about how long that might take and what kind of work might have to go into that, right? And how frustrating that can be and how behind the door you're crying, but in public you're smiling. If you want to talk about that, I can get you there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you're building current day.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. So I want to say about 2 weeks ago, I recently established a new LLC. So I had one, it was Freeman Enterprise, and I let it go because something was lacking with it. And recently I established Freeman Legacy Consulting Group. And so now it's about, I had a son prior to going to prison. He was 4 days old when I was incarcerated. He was born April 6th. I got arrested April 10th, 1998. And now I have a 3-year-old son and an 8-month-old daughter. And so it's different now, right? It's about building a legacy, something that when the world is defining their lives because they're Black children, that they have an immediate example that's really intimate and really close to them that they could say, what would Dad do? What would Dad say? What would he want us to think right now? Because the world is trying to crush me. Where can I exist right now and still know my dad's smiling down on me? That's what I'm trying to build, right? I'm trying to build a story that has staying power with the people I'm leaving behind, right? And that's important for me because in reality, making children was a goal. Of course, it felt good to be in the act of trying to make children. But man, it's hard when you see the ugliness of the world and the beauty of innocence of these small people and thinking at some point that innocence has to be lost. And the reality of what some of us know we're all too familiar with, the reality is at their doorstep. So they have some time now, and it's on me to build a legacy. So them with 529s, I still understand the importance of a 4-year degree for them, even as people of color. So those are the steps, the ways we'll get there, right? But I want people that will see them, know them, and when they hear their last name, Freeman, and people say, wait, there was this guy, right? And they'll be able to say, that's my dad. That's what I'm building.
I couldn't think of anything cooler.
Right.
As a fellow father.
Yeah.
Of 5 boys.
Wow, 5 boys.
I I'm always under the microscope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've heard those exact things from the other room. What would Dad do? And I'm sitting in the kitchen cooking and just start bawling, trying to be quiet so they don't hear me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I feel that.
Yeah.
If that's not generational wealth, I don't know what is.
And now you're talking. I think oftentimes this idea like wealth has to be tied to money, resources, and all that. It robs people of humanity to say that generational wealth should be tied to positive, healthy interpersonal relationship, to love, right? To being attached to your emotions. Like that's generational wealth to me, right? Being able to say, I'm a man, I'm also vulnerable. I'm a man, I'm also weak at times, right? I'm a man, I don't have to put on a show. I could actually walk away now and still not lose one aspect of my manhood. Like, absolutely. That to me is generational wealth, because otherwise, what we're passing down is generational poverty. I'm supposed to die about my virtue. Says who? And why now? You get to choose. You get to choose the battlefield you choose to die on. Why does someone else inside of a few minutes get to define when you should be writing your last chapter? That's not generational wealth. That's someone who has no agency and no control. That's someone who is in servitude or slavery to the opinions, judgments, and stigmas of others. Right? And that's someone who probably wouldn't live that way themselves. So, yeah, definitely. I appreciate you dropping that. That was a you gotta put sound effects on that. That was a bomb. That was a brr, brr, brr. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Because not only are they getting the love that you might not have gotten, so their trajectory already is in a way better direction. They've got a chance at life. But when they go through that adversity, they have that rock of, the world tried to beat Dad down. And he came out of the ashes like the phoenix. Maybe I can do it too. You know, there's lots of success stories out there, but when it's your dad, you're like, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna give up.
Right.
Because there's that.
Right. And there is no maybe, because I have his blood. I'm a piece of him. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, good, bad, and indifferent. So if someone could use that, now look, and it's all about taking the stigmas and the negative effects of them and turning them 180. So the bad apple rule was birthed in slavery, right? One bad rebellious slave will turn them all rebellious, right? So we must get rid of that one. And where that went was all the way through life. That's negative. But it could also be turned 180 and say in the same breath, right? I can be the one that doesn't have to go that way. I can go this way, and others will follow me.
And like you said, there's no maybe with your kids because they've got your stubborn.
I have his blood. All right. I got his nose.
It's all in the DNA.
I mean, look at me. My hairline's receding. I got his hair loss. Right? Damn him.
Yeah. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm going to quote you from your chapter in the book. You said, "My past doesn't get to narrate my future." When did you stop letting your prison number define you?
I want to say probably in the last 2.5, 3 years. Probably in the last 2.5, 3 years. And it was after coming home. And of course, like finding traditional work was a task. Now, and when I say traditional work, like going somewhere, filling out an application, pass the background check, coming in, punching the clock, doing your part, going home, forgetting about work, coming back in.
The J-O-B.
The J-O-B. So the path that, like, the path I was forced to take was more or less, you're an expert. You're a content expert. You should share your story. People need to hear your story. And very few people stop to actually say to me, What does it feel like for you to have to tell your story, to have to tell your story? To me, that felt like having to tell my story the way I was being coached to, the way I was being advised to, was the way the number was still dictating my future. So it was if I was to make money, get sustainability in my reentry, then I needed to woo the crowd with my trauma. My number was still dictating my story. And so I want to say 2.5, 3 years ago, now I've traveled a bit, been a few places, been paid to speak. And now I've gained some skills. So now when you ask me to come speak, what are you looking for as an outcome? Who's your audience? How long do I get? Are there questions you think I should be looking at that should prompt what you think needs to be said? And I get to say no, because I'm not dying for $1, right? I'm not dying for $1 today. So I get to say, I'm gonna pass this one up. And people say, well, you can do whatever you want to do. And doing enough of those, people would say, William, you didn't say anything about prison. And I would say, I could do it my way, right? And they said, yeah. I said, well, I wanted to focus on the part of getting free and not trying to remember what it was like to be caged, which meant in some respects, some parts of me went back to the cage to come and woo a crowd. So yeah, I want to say with the birth of my son, his name's True. And the motivation behind naming him True was that I said, when it comes to he and I'd rather he hurt in the short run than I lie to him. So his name is a reminder as a young Black boy that my job is to tell a story that is not steep in a lie, no matter what it is. And so, but here I am in this process at the same time in real life where I'm showing up and I'm constantly talking about what it means to be incarcerated. And I'm like, I've been home for years now. Why are they still asking me, William, tell us about, yeah, all of that's good. But no, tell us about when you were incarcerated. And I'm like, but do you want to hear about what I've been up to? And not in a professional sense. Like, what am I doing to undo the knots of incarceration?
They just want to hear about the exploitation.
Absolutely.
Of the situation.
Because they want to,
right?
Like a movie. And then when it's over, pats on the back, picture taken, and they're off to some other venue.
Check the box.
And now I got to get on a plane and listen to Tupac and cry against the window because I'm feeling like I was freer in prison. And that's what the psychology of trying to convince myself I was having a good time telling this story. When I was able to say, hey, how about this? I can hit the prison piece like this much, but I need to talk about everything else that I've been up against here, because I think people need to hear it who are coming home. I think people need to know, like, hey, that big dream you got about coming home, keep dreaming it. But also give yourself grace with relationships. Give yourself grace with this economy. Give yourself grace with other people not accepting your freedom. Here, not your physical freedom, because everyone has a job for you physically to do. Come move this, come move that, touch me here, go ahead, get out. And no one ever asks you about that dream. So you keep dreaming that, but in the meantime, prepare for the parts that we oftentimes don't put into our reentry plan, which is what happens when I meet a female and she learns my story and she becomes my warden. How do I beat that? What happens when I'm actually starting to get free and someone wants to remind me, hey, you're just another crackhead. And they want to actually see me go back because they feel like they haven't moved. So why should I have moved in prison? So that part started being important to me, like sending a shot of hope. Not just a fairy tale, not just a story, but a shot of hope that was like, bro, you can get this in there. And when you get out, you get to control that. So now I tell guys, hey, if you want, by practice, good practice, tell your story once or twice. After that, if you want to, monetize it. Honorarium stipend until you get established as a speaker, until you get different talks, and make it the same talk. Have a signature talk, have snippets of a talk, right? Don't worry about new talks. tell the same talk everywhere because that's what they paid for. And when they want to pay more, make a bigger story. But just give them snippets. And I'm telling you, when I talk to people and I tell them you got a story in you, tell the parts that give you freedom. If you want to talk about ramen noodles, rusty nails with sheets torn on the back of them, calling them knives, if that gives you freedom, talk to your blue in the face. But if that triggers you, say, hey, I appreciate you wanting to hear about that part, but this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe I put that part here and I got this other piece, man. I don't know, people might love it. I know I do. And tell the part that lights you up. And, having to go through it. The first time I knew that my story, this was before you asked me when did my number stop dictating my future. When I had learned that my story was the motivation for a grant that was written, but my name was omitted. And so by my name being omitted, when I heard my own story being told back to me, I was like, wow, wait a minute. That sounds like my story. And to the person, that sounds like my story. You're not the only person who's been incarcerated. Wait a minute. And you're not the only person who struggles with love, who came from a broken family. How selfish are you? I said, wait a minute. Well, who's the person in the story? Someone I met. Do you have a name? I don't need one. I went to an event where this person who had gotten this grant was talking, and I noticed the agitation my presence caused. They could barely get through the story, right? They couldn't tell the story. And at that moment right there, I said, wow, this is for real. This is about the thievery of IP, intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when asked to write the book, I shrunk it tremendously. Not because I don't want to be a part of the book in a really profound way. I still told a story that is very relevant to what folks go through, right? The show, the dance, the act of being okay, essentially, is what my chapter is about. The making up of a presentation, a front stage self, if you would, in sociology. It's a backstage self. That's the person who I said is crying in the dark, somewhat still scared of the dark, but just big man, big black man, but still cuts the basement light off and skips steps running up. Something's gonna grab me through the step. Yeah, for sure. With people thinking, he's fearless. Here I am, right? This person here is oh man. And the irony of it is, like, to cut that part of the story, the irony of everything I'm telling you is that on one part, I'm more free than I've ever been. And I realize I have more opposition than I've ever had, right? Because when you realize you have power, everybody in opposition to your realization you have power to call people out, to check people, to say, hey, remember when we talked about such and such? I understand that wasn't in writing. But in the state of Maryland, a verbal contract with two witnesses could be contestable. If someone else agrees that sounds like me, oh, you a rat? You can't use that. Because if you're going to use the system against me, then I'm going to use the system to slow you. I can't say I'm going to beat you with it, but I'm going to slow you with it. Don't threaten. Well, I'm not threatening anybody. I'm just saying, I think that we should have a talk. And so what that looked like was an admission off the record and a payment of a type and an altering of how you can tell this story, and it be speaking about potentially anybody and not my story, because my story has a fingerprint to it, just like everyone else's. And when I hear it, you can't tell me that's not my fingerprint. That's when my number started dictating my future, because I was no longer operating out of gratitude and endless appreciation. I was operating out of a premise that I have agency, I have power, and I'm going to use it to slow you down. And it was no longer my number, because my number kept me chain and ball. I needed to be grateful, honorable, all of these things to the same people who were feeding me dog food, refusing to share the results from the water tests at the institutions. And yeah, man, all of the things, the random strip searches and mop closets, like all the weird stuff that goes on in that place, right? That was holding me back. That was when I was showing up and all I thought I needed to do was talk about the prison. But the reality of it is I also needed to, at the same time, find my healing. Like, how do you come home if you come home and you've been talking about prison the entire time you've been home?
And a very specific part of that.
The only part of it, the pain.
Yeah, the boo-hoo, the woe is me.
Right.
The
Right.
skinny 2-year-old on the 2 a.m. infomercial with the sappy music.
Got it.
For $3 a day. They want that story.
Absolutely. And $3 a day. Did you get the $3 on Cash App? Wait a minute. It's gonna cost me $1.50 to instantly cash this out. For real, man. I mean, and there's still so much. There's so much more freedom to realize, right? But it's about being free in the moment, and not being free in the future. I think a lot of what I used to say freedom was, it was something I'm working toward. But I'm not in bondage, I'm not homeless, and I'm not hungry, and I know where love resides for me, right? Why am I still talking about when I get free? There's something wrong with that. And it's kind of like, you familiar with the character from Boys in the Hood?
Which one?
The one that shot Ricky out of the backseat of that red XL.
That guy
has a real story, right? He was born in California to a 2-parent household, went to college, the whole nine. He played that role, joined the Blood Gang after that role because he got frozen in character. He actually committed 2 murders this is facts, committed 2 murders to join the Bloods, went to prison with life. His cell buddy killed him.
The real actor.
His cell buddy murdered him and performed like a satanic ritual around him and ate parts of his body.
What?
100% true story, right? Also, another character, Tupac, when he played Bishop in Juice. Before Tupac played Bishop, many of the people who had grown up with him said he got frozen in that character. He was always rebellious, always a revolutionary, but he was always super smart. He had become super vulgar, right? And he got frozen in that character. So I'm saying all that to say, when I'm realizing that I had all of these things going for me, but I'm still talking about freedom one day, I got frozen in an act of acting like I'm okay, of moving through, faking it till I make it, and I'm frozen there. I'm not asking for help. I don't know where help is. I don't know what help looks like. I don't even realize that if you ask for help, you can't tell the help how to help you. If you knew that, you wouldn't need help. You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm talking about those characters because I purposely took time out to find those characters. Like, this had to happen to someone else. And when I did, I'm like, wow, what?
That's crazy.
It's a real psychology thing. Like, you create a state of mind so much so that it forms a reality for you. And I've heard other stories about people actually being on trains and in cabs and the whole nine and waiting for someone to tell them to get off, to get out, and riding the train to the end and having to ride it back because you missed your stop, right? But meanwhile, everyone who sees you, physically you look well, you pronounce pretty articulate, you pronounce pretty well. Like all of that was going on at the same time. And so literally the question you asked me about when did my number stop dictate my future, it was when I lost the character. When the character didn't have to exist. When the reality of William Gregory Freeman III, not as he was reared, but as he had become, was like, you know what? I'd rather have opposition to who I really am than friends to a character I'm presenting.
Say that one more time.
Facts. I'd rather have opposition to the truth of me, to the person I am, right? Like me really being myself. I'd rather people not want to be with that than to have a whole group of people who seem to love me because of the character I present. That part.
Now, if you could just put that over the top of a bubblegum club beat and get it out to the masses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. When was that?
Man.
In the timeline? Was that after we did the docufilm, or
absolutely.
was it?
Yeah. Well, my son will be 4 in July, so absolutely, because it happened somewhere about after the birth of my son. And I don't know what prompted it as much as I knew I was losing friends. And it was because I was beginning to, like I did with this one person, she was a friend. She was an early mentor. Well, I said when I heard my story being told, but my name wasn't in it. I'm like, wait a minute. Like at this point, people are starting to say, he thinks he's something. He's getting big-headed. I've been doing this. He don't really know nobody. When they were trying to break me down. And I was trying to stand up. And I had to say,
because where you been makes you less than.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
And it keeps me from being deserving of, right? I should be grateful somebody wants to hear my story. What? No, I shouldn't be grateful. What I want to do is prove that that's my story and then come for you for my percentage.
Yes.
Yeah, that part.
I can't. We're going off script here, but we're running. I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that.
Absolutely.
I'm really glad you said that, because when did we film that? 2019? It was before COVID, I think.
It was before COVID. It was just before or around about.
I think it was 18, 19, something like that. The only thing that wasn't picture perfect in that historically monumental interview was, and I didn't know it then, but I noticed it today when you came back in, because I don't know that I've seen you since then.
Well, we did see each other downtown. Or was that the same?
Oh, we did a St. Louis thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think we did like as in-depth as we did.
It was more or less like a
Baltimore
thing, yeah.
The William that walked into this room today was not the beaten dog that sat in front of his old house in that first interview.
That was cold.
Because that guy was like, I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve this. Because of all the bad that I've done, I don't deserve anything good. So any little crumbs that I get, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, no.
Any little crumbs that I get, I have to be grateful for it, because my position is I don't deserve it. And I disagreed with you then. And to see that transformation and to hear you speaking about it from a place of authentic expert authority is probably the coolest thing that could ever happen. Seriously.
Right. And I know this is my story, but I mean this, right? When people read that chapter, the depth of that, for someone who was in that place that guy was in that you talked about, that won't resonate. So I would tell people, read it again. Read it again. It might not help you get free, but it should agitate you if you realize, damn, I'm acting too. I'm super thankful too. There's a difference between gratitude and shoe or bootlicking. There's a difference, right? And my time is still the only luxury I have in life. So something I'm putting my time, my sweat, and my energy to, I'm deserving. I'm deserving, despite what my past was. Right? Yeah.
And the powers that be, what they try and tell you where you're at and what level you're on according to where you've been.
Right. I mean, man, even when I got this job, and I've been working here now 4 years, some change at the organization I'm at now. And when they called me and they said, we'd be honored to make this offer to you, when they made the offer, I was like, wait a minute. I've never done this before. Is that still the number? And they were like, we beg to differ. We think you've been doing this for a long time. There's some things you'll have to learn, but there's some things you have we can't learn without that experience.
And that's valuable.
And I've been there since 2021.
That's the difference between chess and checkers, right? Mm-hmm. Because nothing changed other than your perspective and how you choose to receive others' perspectives.
For sure.
I mean, you brought it up a little bit earlier in the podcast, but if we're trying to get the message across to those that are watching, and we're using the analogy, I mean, that's literally go all the way back to slavery, right? And I'm just
in Louisiana.
I'm paraphrasing here, but you know, a slave gets pulled out of the field and gets to sit on the porch for 5 minutes and eat an apple. You better feel grateful for that, right? That type of like, I'm a human. I grew that apple. I should be able to have that apple if I could purchase it. If you know, like, why should it's not humane? That's the thing. But that's still happening. You know, people are talking about slavery is over, racism doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
That person you identified as a she, I don't know what the background ethnicity is and in the circumstance of this conversation, it doesn't matter, but it's that same mentality. You in your situation, because of your past, should not have to walk around for the rest of your life saying, yes, massa. But those that would take advantage would steer you in that direction to keep you on a leash.
Right. It's profitable for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And the only difference for those that are watching right now talking about, man, I wish I could do that. The only difference is you decided for yourself. You made a decision.
And you don't have to be so, and absolutely. And to be clear to a viewer, right? You don't have to be a jerk to realize that agency. That part, right? You still can be concerned with the way you're presenting, not the character, the way my words may land, right? We're not responsible for how someone feels about the words. We are responsible how we convey the message. And
that's huge.
That part.
That's huge.
Like, I don't have to make you feel bad to feel empowered. I don't have to make you feel threatened to feel empowered. But I also do not have to stay in character for these coins.
Exactly.
For your company, for your camaraderie, for your whatever you would put there, right?
And for any reason, not because of the crimes you committed or the prison sentence that you had or the color of your skin.
Right. And I mean, not to mention, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for me to stay in character.
Exactly.
When do I live if I'm always living backwards? When do I taste new life? When do the people who know me or see me say, proud of you? If I'm always stuck back there, no, they'll say things like he's bitter. He's dealing with arrested development. He's
The angry black
lost,
man.
right? And then when the words I use just make that clean, right? But that's the statements they make. And I mean, at the end of the day, I realized that the show, in the beginning, there must be a show because we are the authors of our presentation. So in the beginning, where I'm coming from, prison, is closer to me in time than where I hope to be in the future, sure, I'm gonna act more like the Romans when in Rome, right? Because otherwise I'm gonna act like a beast. I'm gonna act like the person who shouldn't be at the table. And so, but as I'm progressing, at some point where I'm trying to get to, I'm closer to that than where I'm coming from. And it's not in time like years, it's in time like movement. Keep going.
Growth.
Start out as Denzel and finish the retired actor. And now I'm a man, right? And there's nothing to see here. But I know some other guys who are just getting out. We should ping them. See if they're interested. We should put money behind it though. So I get to manage a fellowship that is paying individuals $35K for less than 10 hours a week, 10 hours of work a month. They get $35K paid straight to them. I get to say, hey, do it as an LLC. Do it in a banking account. Don't mix your funds. And I get to say at the end of this fellowship, you'll be able to leverage that cash going into that business account for a loan, for a home, for whatever. And I get to see people become like me, first generation homeowners, right? And I'm saying people that were seemingly befriending the character. How did you do it? How did you do it?
And then here comes bitter from their side.
Right. Or and I've gotten this. Can you teach me? And I say, what is it worth to you? And they say, I knew you was going to say money. And I said, no. Humility. And again, I don't want you licking my boots. The humility I'm asking you about, are you really going to allow me to teach you? And you've never been to prison? That part.
That's a different kind of what's it worth to you.
Absolutely. And if the answer is yes, I'm available. And I won't send you a quote, an invoice. I won't do any of those things. I have individuals like this in my life now. And I love when their light goes off and they realize A helps B helps A the most. Yeah. So that small grant you were, kind of with the carrot on the stick with me in the beginning. Now it's not even about that. And I get to say, hey, well, how do you structure your time? In a written fact, what do you use? What tools do you use to manage your time? What are you talking about? It's the only luxury in life. If you don't have a calendar, if you don't have a scheduler, you are literally letting the only thing of real value in this fake world get away from you. How could you win? We got the same 24 hours anyone in the world has. So if a billionaire is up in the money hours between 3 and 4, if they're up at that time and making moves, and by the time everyone else is waking up at between 7 and 9, they're actually off playing golf or other things and they're done with work for the day, then what were you doing at between 3 and 4? And what change are you willing to make? Now, I'm not proposing you're going to be a billionaire in coins. I am proposing you're going to have billionaire methods. And it's going to shift the trajectory of your right now. And what that might look like is endless. If you're only looking for greenbacks, you're going to consider it all failure. And so I get to talk like this because I'm not in character. I don't need to be in character. I do things now, people say he talks too much. Or I didn't like when he said it that way. And I get to say, you invited me, not a character. And in the moment, I was moved to say those words. You got to work on that. No, you shouldn't hire me. I'm not asleep. And if you want someone to get up there and tell a really rosy story about how education is freeing, education is an aspect of putting together a journey of freedom. Could be. So it doesn't have to be, right? Because if you get a mentor who is really strong-headed and you just want to be like him, you'll just follow him. Notice what you just lost. You. The character you just bought was him. But a certain type of mentor that says, hey, if this education ain't teaching you how to think, it's not the education for you. And that's where I'm at now. Like, I think in the chapter I talked about my first day at Goucher College, right? And it was big. I bring it up for this reason. A couple of things were just happening and hadn't happened in 21 years. I was in a program, a drug program. I was released to a dual diagnostics program with a 3.5 rating, which is like the highest in the state of Maryland, which means I couldn't really move about. But my judge said I released him to actually go to college. And the college was several miles away. So they approved me to buy a car. I had saved up some money. I bought the car. And I'm driving to this place, to this school every day. And people see me pull up in a car, dressed like a college student with my books, my notes, ready to go. What they couldn't see was the self-talk. I'm approaching the gate and I'm saying, okay, straighten up. Get ready. Here it goes. Don't let them figure you out. This is where it counts. And I roll the window down, and from there, I'm thinking, what is a good opening? And I'm saying, how are you, sir? And it's not me. Because I don't know. I actually don't owe him first greeting when he's doing his job, right? Because I'm automatically showing up and I'm trying to control the setting. I'm trying to be in control. And I'm being asked questions. I remember, like I said, I'm being asked questions that I now know anyone could be asked. But because I know where I'm coming from, I'm defending the fact that I'm not a felon in my mind, right? And he's asking me for my name so he can put it in the ledger. But I think he's asking me for my name so he can background me real quick, right? And all of these things are happening. And at the end of the day, the next person gets the same colloquy of questions. But for me, when he says go, there's a self-talk again. Oh man, you dropped the ball. He knows now. Now you got to tighten up because you're ready to walk in this building. And every step in that journey was about you failed. They know you didn't look good. You're not a student. Take the next step. And that's why I say keep going. You'll be acting at first. But at some point, the goal has to be to break character, to inset, and to come into full freedom.
Yeah, because that toxicity can't last. Because not only are you beating yourself up on the inside, but my assumption would be that unknowingly, probably, in the 3D, you were probably either, well, you're probably a jerk. His
Absolutely.
first impression of you was probably, what's that guy's problem? The angry black man. But it's because you were on the inside beating yourself up about it for no reason.
And in a position where I felt like I didn't deserve this opportunity. and they couldn't stop me. But why am I thinking about the way they can't do something to me instead of you're here, right? You're free. And then now when I drive through that same gate, you know what they say? The ones who I see repeatedly at the gate.
What's that?
Hey, Mr. Freeman. Hey. They're like, man, powerful speaker. Because I spoke and I gave the commencement speech. But again, but I was still in character. But when I gave the commencement speech, broke character. Wrote a speech, had it approved, deviated, right? I haven't been asked to speak again at a commencement, but guess what? They know my politics. He's gonna tell the truth. So we can't actually ping him on the good boy role.
Right.
And I don't want to be known to be rebellious. I just want to be known to not have to maintain the set. I'm not in set. I'm a man like everybody else. Right? So when I wrote the chapter, I really think, when I was asked to write the chapter, what do you want to write about? And I think the work I do, I get to manage fellows and I get to see how other people are like managing this character. And then when we're all set and it's just me and them, and there's a relatable factor like race and gender and all of those things and you know, neighborhoods we're coming from, and immediately they take that off and they say, yo, bro, what the hell, right? And I say, who was that guy? And what is that costing you physically? And they're like, man, I'm glad I'm meeting you because you can help me. And I said, well, we can help each other. And I want you to be comfortable becoming who you are instead of who you think people are paying you to be. That person gets the small coins. The person who knows who he is, he says how much you pay him. Right? He says, and I'm telling you, we know a person together. He tells people how much you owe me for this. And there's no question about, do we give it to him because they know authentically that's who he is. But had he shown up the whole time and did the dog and pony good show, right? He'd still be stuck at whatever value he had then now. And I see those people. And it's like, bro, you don't have to be a jerk. But you also could tell people, hey, now I've traveled, I've spoke here and there, I've published, I've done these other things, like, and I'm good with no. I'm good with saying no or hearing no. Yes. Yeah, things are different, and things are different because I kept going in the same space. I didn't run to a new space. Was really powerful. Something I heard. They said if you start something and stop, every time you stop and start over, you actually start back where you started the first time, not where you left off. Because you lose ground, right? And then you build up and you get to that point. When you get to that point again, it's gonna get tough again because that's the point of newness. You gotta get past that. But if you stop again and go back, it feels so normal, feels so doable, feels so manageable, right? But you're back where you started the first two times. And I'm telling you, I can name names. This is a real thing. Start something, get here, start over, something else, get here. And the rationale people kick is you actually got to try a few things to figure out what you like. And I say you actually got to get uncomfortable to see the fruits of it. You might like it then. But if you only go to comfort, you're right. You're going to be trying to figure this out for a long time. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, check the book out. Read it again. Again, the first read is like, read it again. Sit it down. And ask yourself, like, if you are anything like me, and I don't mean race because that's not a thing, we have over 70 plus million people with criminal records. We incarcerate the largest portion of people in the entire world. We have a prison industrial complex. Mass incarceration per capita is talking about a 14% population and an incarceration population, how that's ballooned for 14% of the population. But here's a real fact we don't talk about enough, right? If white folks make up the majority of a population, by percentages, they make up the majority of prison, because mass incarceration is on a per capita according to the percentage of those people in the country. So for a 13.5, 14% population base, right? If you got this amount of people in prison, it's mass incarceration, no doubt, because there's such a small population. But if they're 50, 55, and 60% of the population, we don't talk about them in prison because it's a bigger percentage to pull from. You follow what I'm saying? So this is for white or black. We're all faking it till we make it, right? Some people get help and have, better acting coaches, so to speak, when you come home. Do it this way. This is what you need to do, right? And they help you get through your script a little quicker, right? And other folks don't have that, and you got to go and you get the little, gigs where you're just the extra and you made $100, but the movie was a big deal, and you get to add it to your resume and say, look, that's me there in the background eating a taco. You can't really see me, but I know my head.
So grateful.
Right. I'm so grateful that I did that. The movie sold in the box offices. They gave it, 4 or 5, whatever, Rotten Tomatoes, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, but if you do 10 of those and you're 10 times the grateful, where are we moving to? If you can put 10 movies, and the people do, if you can list 10 talks you've given and you've netted $500 from 10 talks and you want to be a public speaker, at what point do you realize the character you're selling them has no value? And you need to break character and show up and say, no. My story, my way. My story, my way. And I can say that because I kept going. I was grateful and all that in the first year, 2 years. I was released February 5th, 2019. So I was meeting you like a year after that, right? Like somewhere, I believe it was after COVID. And no.
It was right after
my son was born 21. Out. Yeah.
It was right after.
Yeah, I was just getting out.
Yeah.
And I was in that place though. I was in that place where people kept telling me, you just ought to be grateful.
I remember you specifically, you literally said it, and I'll go back, I'll plug the video in right here. In that interview, you said, opportunities are coming my way, and I have to say yes to everything.
Boom, okay. Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Because I don't deserve it.
And I might not get it again. And now I say no. And I'm doing things like in October, I'm headed to Africa for 15 days. I'm here now. I'm headed to upstate New York, same month. In May, I'll be in Oakland. I've been to Texas, Seattle, Philly, Atlanta, Florida, a few times, right? And all
with no mask.
That part.
With no mask.
That part.
Not a new painted mask, but no mask at all.
No.
Now we actually, I feel like I'm meeting William for the first time today.
Absolutely. And I'm comfortable not being heard in the room because it's different. I'm not looking to be heard in the room because I'm also not looking to be seen in a certain way. You don't have to see me. I'm here. I know I'm here.
What was the quote? My story?
My story, my way.
My story, my way.
Yeah.
So t-shirts and hoodies coming soon on the William Freeman Enterprises website.
Freeman Legacy.
My story, my way. I only need 3%.
Yeah. We got to talk. Let's talk. If
There's no gatekeeping on this podcast. Like if you haven't already rewound at least 4 times to write this stuff down.
Yeah. Let's get it. And that's all. That's for whoever. Because in a lot of ways it was given to me in that way. But when people were giving it to me in word and not dollar, I tended to miss it. Right? Because I was like, well, if you feel that way, bro, throw me a stack in my mind.
Right.
But if someone had thrown me a stack instead of giving me a jewel that now has birthed a few stacks, I would have been frozen in that moment when I had the stack. And I'd be telling everybody about the time when I had the 1,000. Instead of saying, hey, man, I'm in New Orleans with the family, with the kids, with a rental. We got daycare here. We got a nanny that comes at 5 here. We got a room for the nanny with the Right. My story, my way. And I'm not a jerk about it. I'm just saying, you could get anybody for $500.
You grew up.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You put your big boy pants on.
Yeah. One leg at a time. Instead of laying on the bed and putting them both on.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, just all of that right there is worth the price of admission for me to help put this out.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, forget the cameras for a second.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it, and I've seen it, and I've seen it, and I've seen it.
The man behind the camera.
6 weeks from now, somebody is going to be watching that video, and they're going to catch that light bulb. You're sending it to them through the camera, like there was zero gatekeeping. You gave all the goods.
And it's for real. It's
From money making to legalities of it to giving them permission to do what they know they already need to do.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm challenging the rest of the authors because this might be the most impactful episode of the whole series.
I sure hope so.
And I only went through 4 of the pre-planned questions. I'm not even looking at the rest.
Right. I mean, you know how I'm coming, man. I'm an open book. And I think when we connected the first time, the part of the book that I was in then would have been named Chaos, right? And the part of the book I'm in now would be named Legacy. And when we meet again, the part of the book then will be Taking a Bow. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Taking a Bow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Chaos,
I will be involved
Legacy,
with that.
Bow.
One way or another. I will be involved with that.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Before we wrap up, those that are still watching, which is everybody, how do they get in touch with you if they want to reach out, if they want to get involved with anything that you're up to and do?
For sure. So, man, first I throw this out there because I do get connections this way, and I think it's a way where we could actually have power, but like social media. So on social media, it's Hussein, Husayn 396. 3 events in 1996 shaped my life. Hussein, Husayn 396. Man, follow me, hit me in the messages. I respond to everybody. And then if you're real technical, professional, man, William.Freeman III, 3 lowercase i's, @rawtrust.org. Man, tap in. I'm also on LinkedIn and all other things. But if you come that way, I'm subject to give you my phone number because I'm an open book.
That's awesome.
I'm an open book.
And next time around, it'll just be Google me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that part is going to give you the side you can't tap into. And I just gave you the side where you can say, man, give me the real.
Right.
Shoot it to me straight.
No smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, have you cried? Have you cried?
Step 1.
Yeah.
Man.
Have you cried? Release it.
Get it out.
Get it out.
Purge.
Purge. All the stuff you heard. All the things you thought. All the things people told you. If you ain't telling it to you, you got to cry. Get to the place where you telling it to you and people start saying you're big-headed. And you start saying to them, like, where's that come from?
Their own insecurities.
Where's that come from? Because I don't see it. Tell me about it. Yeah.
My story, my way.
My story, my way. Chaos, legacy, the bow.
Thank you so much for coming on and being on the show. I cannot wait for this book to release.
Right.
I think it's August, September, something like that. The information is in the description below.
Right.
Get your pre-orders in. Like, subscribe, follow.
Yeah.
Go find William on everything that he's doing. And stay tuned for the next movie that we make because it's coming.